Hey everybody, this is herculespetix, founder, curator, docent, and gift shop employee of the herculespetix Academy of Comic Book Studies. Today we're going to be looking at Geoff Darrow's The Shaolin Cowboy. This is a book published in 2014, collecting the 2004 7-issue miniseries, which introduced the Shaolin Cowboy. Since then, there's been at least 3 to 4 graphic novels worth of material printed, but this was the first one. And this is pretty much hot off of his work on The Matrix. And it was published by Burly Man Press, which was the Wachowskis. They made a comic company with all their Matrix money. And they only put out a handful of titles, but they were really good. And I can't believe it didn't last because, I mean, both titles were really good, but Shaolin Cowboy is amazing. And this is the kind of comic where this is why I read comics. There's stuff in here that like no other medium's gonna give me. I like a lot of mediums, but oh man, this is just pure comics, just fun. As we can see, if you're not familiar with Geoff Darrow, he's known for his hyper detailed art. And not only does he just, there's many artists who are illustratively hyper detailed, like drawing every nook and cranny on the surface. But Geoff Darrow is unique because he adds all these interesting kind of eyeball kicks in every panel, where he'll just be a background scene and maybe it's in a city. There'll be 200 characters. He'll like draw out each one with an individual fashion style, individual almost personality. Lots of crazy stuff, like for some reason there's all these parrots flying around. They're not really in the story. A turtle somehow is in the air, flying through the air. Just looking at his array of his arsenal of guns here, it's just crazy. So this is a wraparound cover, and then we'll really see some of this. I can't really open it much, but I'll give you an idea. Well, first I'll show you the back, like this. This is some motley crew of villains out to get Shaolin Cowboy, and just the assortment. There's a flying shark, a weird mercenary riding a pig, an alligator man, a mandrill. It's just amazing stuff. Just so much imagination. As well as, like I said, just amazingly beautiful illustrative detail. He's definitely got horror vacui, this guy. But he knows how to pull back, too, and knows that sometimes just having lots of space, it really accentuates all this detail. We have this nice opening spread. Just reminds me of like a opening scene in a movie or something. And then we have the title page. Now, I read on the internet that the Wachowskis wrote some of the dialogue in the first few pages of this. It didn't say how many pages. So the Wachowski brothers helped him write this. But it sounds like just in the beginning. Maybe he was having a tough time getting started since he hadn't written much. So the world of the Shaolin Cowboy is a very kind of nebulous world. It's a nebulous time frame. So it says, someplace in the middle of nowhere, the day before yesterday and a week before tomorrow. And we see this little lizard. And I think it's because of all of Geoff Darrow's time in Japan and studying manga, that he's totally willing to let a scene just like, this is just a scene of a lizard running around. He spends like two pages on it. It's okay. Like manga does that sometimes. They're just like, let it breathe. Let the scene breathe. I love this how even though he's just drawing rocks here, which are incredibly detailed and beautiful, he makes his job harder by having all this graffiti on them and then drawing this cool, well-designed graffiti on every rock. It's almost like he's not happy unless he's making tons of work for himself in every illustration. We hear these guys behind the rock. We can't see them. They're 3 guys who are going to ambush someone. But then these bushwhackers, they get surprised by the person they were hunting. Because we hear them saying, it's you. And then we see them being dispatched one by one. And I love this how, meanwhile, we see a pterodactyl, like a very tiny mini pterodactyl, swoop down and grab that little lizard that we watched from the first 2 pages and fly off with them. As we see all these three bushwhackers get killed. Their names are John, Juan, and John. And now we see who did it. And you probably guessed, it's the Shaolin Cowboy. He has many enemies, as we find out from reading these. Seems like everyone in the whole wide world wants to kill him. Now, this is his talking donkey. Shaolin Cowboy, in all these comics, barely says a goddamn word. I think he might say 5 words in this comic. But his donkey is very verbose. And he doesn't shut up, to be honest. See a simple scene right here, but he has to draw every little fly bothering the donkey, and just craziness. So he's going through a gully, riding through a gully in this landscape, and all these crows take to flight, and he realizes something's up. And all of a sudden, he rounds the corner, and he's completely surrounded by this huge assortment of enemies. Now, here's a perfect example of Geoff Darrow stuff. Every single one of these background characters, they don't really matter. I mean, they're villains who want to kill him, but there's so many of them. He gives each one a completely different fashion sense, different body type. He'll throw in I think that's a hedgehog for some reason. There's just inexplicably weird things in these group scenes. And also, like, he's going to draw every lizard watching this scene. I think he's nuts, this guy. I've heard interviews with him. He sounds very sane. He seems like a very nice guy, Geoff Darrow. He seems like he has the right to be a total egomaniac because nobody can draw like him, but he's so humble and cool. So as you can see, everyone, and this is the kingpin, this guy, the Frenchman, he's doing all the talking. So apparently these are all people who Shaolin Cowboy's made an enemy of. They're family members and friends of people he's killed. There's people that he's wronged, I guess. They feel he's wronged them. And so there's a lot of them. And as we can see, this is almost kind of like an homage to Mel Brooks. It just keeps going. 2 pages wasn't enough to show this panoply of goons and weirdos and mutants. And like I said, every single one. A t-shirt design, tattoos, just all the extra work for himself. But it gives the world so much more just weight. Bunch of dogs hanging out. There's a sunny side up egg on this rock for some reason. It's crazy. And then excess is never enough with Geoff Darrow. He keeps going. So it's like, okay, we get the gag. The 2-page spread continues, but no, it keeps going, and it gets sillier and sillier. There's a fox here, a parakeet in the middle of the desert, a bunch of cats. Once again, every character, like, you got to slow down and look at every single one. And you'll be like, oh, he's got this weird Pez dispenser on his hat or something, something crazy. See a giant crab. And it keeps going. And I like how even the camera angle tilts. So it's not just like slowly swooping along, straight. It's like kind of curving, because I guess the crowd does that. This guy has a blown up condom as a balloon. He's got a ferret on his shoulder. Oh, it's insane. Like, this woman's a perfect example. We're never going to see her again. She doesn't matter to the story, except for, she's going to probably get killed by the Shaolin Cowboy, like all these fuckers. But she's got so many interesting things going on. Her tattoo, the look on her face. She looks like some cool character that I want to read a comic about her. She's just a background character, even though she's in the foreground here, just due to the camera angle. But as far as the story, she's nothing. And we're really swooping in now. I like this. And then one of these guys just has to take a shit really bad. He's waiting outside the porta-john with some toilet paper. Just to throw that in. This is total Mel Brooks, like, goofy humor. So, the Frenchman's kind of taunting him. And he's like, we got you where you want. We got you where we want you. Shaolin Monk does this amazing flip off his horse. We'll realize throughout these books, he's amazingly capable. To the point of absurdity. Like how good he is at the martial arts. And I love this scene here. This is the kind of crazy action to expect from these comics. So Shaolin Cowboy pulls out his sword and basically slashes at the Frenchman. Looks like he makes a weird little figure 8 thing. He puts his knife away, his sword. And just like in a lot of those samurai movies and comics, nobody even realizes what happened. The Frenchman's just standing there silently until Shaolin Cowboy does a little gentle kick with his foot, his toes, and he knocks out the disc of flesh that he just sliced. So you couldn't even see it. That's how sharp his blade is. But just that idea is just crazy. There's so many things in Geoff Darrow comics that are like that. Like, who would even think of that? And of course, everyone around him's like, And then the carnage begins. So as he falls down, I love this, a dog leaps up to jump that neck disc of flesh. And then everyone attacks him, and he starts attacking everyone else. And this is just, I mean, Geoff Darrow got even crazier with this kind of stuff. He has a whole comic issues where it's just one long fight scene, completely choreographed, of like him fighting zombies. So this is like the kind of the genesis of that, where this fight scene is just, we see every panel in various interesting, well choreographed scenes fighting all these guys and massacring them. Very gory, as you can see. These would definitely be rated R movies with the amount of gore. Here's 2 dogs fighting over that piece of neck. And we just see him making his way through this gully with a trail of dead behind him. The donkey's just watching in the background. He's using guns, using his knife, and we see just more and more of them waiting in line to get massacred, basically. The Frenchman's monkey is watching this. I guess he could talk. And he's loading a gun so he can shoot at the Shaolin Cowboy. But the donkey comes up and kicks him in the ass. Kicks him like 30 feet. So it just keeps going. Not only is this like kick-ass, awesome comic book action, but also it's played to the point of absurdity. Where like sometimes I'm reading these pages, I'm going, oh man, that's wicked, awesome. But then I'm also like, you have to laugh. It's like hilarious how he just keeps going. It's so absurd. And this is just his first miniseries. Like I said, he does it even more so later on, where he'll just continue things to the point of absurdity. So here we see that crab. And it turns out he's really behind all this. He's the head honcho. He has hated Shaolin Cowboy, has been hunting him down, trying to kill him for apparently years. God, look at this carnage. Geoff Darrow is not afraid to show just total gore. I love how, so there's a few guys left. And one of them says, "Time out. We call a truce. No fair killing us after a truce is called." And then this is King Crab, we realize. He's the kind of organized this posse of revengers. And then we have a total, like almost Monty Python-esque humorous scene where all these chuckleheads are like, "Well, we want to be able to tell him our revenge story, like why we want revenge on him." But King Crab's like first, so he's just like, "Well, I want to tell them." And it's almost like they're like, "Well, this is kind of, we should vote on this. We're democracy, right?" And they're picking on a dumb name. That's why they're called the Revengers. But like just more of these amazingly detailed characters, even though they're just there to be sword fodder, cannon fodder for a Shaolin Cowboy. Excuse me, I need some water. So this goes on for a while, and we see a flashback. King Crab tells his story of revenge. For some reason, him and his family, through a very convoluted story, end up living in a crab restaurant. And the kind where, you see the live crab and then you eat them. And they were doing fine. I guess they figured out a way to always avoid being picked, until one day Shaolin Cowboy came up with his huge appetite for seafood. And he ate so much that he eventually ate this guy's whole family, his lover, and we see him there. And so ever since then, he's been, hunting after Shaolin Cowboy to get revenge. Even though this is very action-packed, genre comics, I mean, most of it's played for laughs, though. These are really like humor comics, and with just like all this amazing, beautifully drawn action. But even the action is like humorous. It's like I said, it's done to the point of absurdity where you're just like chuckling as you're like, "Oh my God, I can't believe he's doing this." The flashback continues. The King Crab goes to some Shaolin monastery to learn martial arts so he can better be able to get his revenge. Pretty funny scenes of him going through like the martial arts training, attacking guys, doing the stuff you see in all those old kung fu movies. And Shaolin Cowboy apologizes. He says, "I'm very sorry that my hunger for seafood led to your loved ones being killed." And King Crab does not accept that, of course. More arguing from the Revengers, saying, "Wait, we want to tell our story now. You didn't give us enough time." King Crab obviously doesn't give a shit what they think. And he leaps up to Shaolin Cowboy. Once again, just this guy in the foreground here. We see all the flies on his belly. He's got these weird little doodads hanging from his belt. Just all this extra detail that nobody would find necessary. But it makes the comics so fun to read. It's almost like a Where's Waldo book. So we see a great kung fu scene between a king crab and a Shaolin monk. When did you ever think you'd see this in a comic book or anywhere? This is probably the only place you could see this is in a comic book. Oh, God, I love it. This is crazy. So, I mean, now we realize, these comics are kind of in the Warner Brothers Looney Tunes category as far as this world. He punches the crab so hard that he goes through the rock, this rock tower, and then goes through, 30, 40 of these Revengers guys, right through their guts. And he's going to show us every fucking inch of the journey. We just see all these guys getting eviscerated. God, the detail's amazing. This is the kind of detail you'd expect from like one poster. Like, hey, you got to draw a poster or a cover. Okay, I'm going to go crazy. But he just keeps going page after page. This is like over 200 pages, I think. And he doesn't let up. So we see it continue its path, hits this car, causes total havoc. The car flies up in the air, crushes a bunch of people, and slides right to where Shaolin Cowboy is. And then when he opens the trunk, the king crab comes out. And Shaolin Cowboy basically just says, you know, we must now travel on our own separate roads to hell. Stay off of mine. He's just like, yeah, I'm going to let you live, but yeah, don't do this again. Or next time I'll kill you. But the mule is just like, screw that. I've learned my lesson in the past. And he crushes King Crab's claws with his hoof. Oh, look at that. See, so he knows how to let things open up, which makes this detail even more impressive. At least to me. It looks, I love the contrast. So there's a parakeet flying overhead in the middle of the desert. He's going to poop on Shaolin Cowboy's head, but he intercepts the poop with a bullet. Just the idea of putting this scene in a comic, in any narrative, is just funny to me. Once again, not many creators would be like, yeah, I'm going to have a scene where he shoots a bird poop out of the sky. All these word balloons are the donkey, of course. Shaolin Cowboy doesn't say a thing. Like, just see, he just lets time pass slowly sometimes. The whole thing is just the donkey talking about Robert Mitchum and old actors. So now they come upon a scene of carnage. They see all of these bodies. Maybe it ends up being like hundreds of dead bodies with flies all around and vultures. Of course, even though they're just corpses, he still details everyone. You see little things like that they're wearing. Oh God, look at that. That's amazing. Guys, I had the time, so I just looked at this for like this whole thing, like maybe 3 or 4 minutes it took me. I looked at every single person here. Everyone's has a different injury, a different wound. Of course, different clothing, different character types. It's just insane. Most people would just kind of like sketch this off and be like, okay, you get the idea. But no, every little corner. We see all these dogs rooting amongst the corpses to eat them, and vultures. It's just nuts. So they continue to ride on. Even when he's drawing the sparse desert, though, he can't help but draw every little nook and cranny on these rocks. A lot of guys would just make this yellow, and you get the idea, maybe with a few dots to show sandiness. And then they come across, they're following the trail of who did this massacre, and they come across this baby with bloody hands holding these 2 toys. And all he ever says is, mine. And then out of the ground pops these 3 demons. And they're just so interesting. I love this main demon here. He's a headless kind of corpse, but a bird carries the head around so it can command the body. You see it a little better there. Such a weird idea. So they Rochambeau, or hammer, paper, scissors, whatever it's called, for who gets to attack Shaolin Cowboy first. And the headless guy wins. So he attacks Shaolin Cowboy. I want to make sure I didn't skip a page here. Nope. And this is some amazing, fun choreography going on here. This goes on and on and on. It's insane. So this demon is pretty formidable. Shaolin Cowboy's met his match. Pretty hard to kill this guy. And the whole time he's spewing like funny stuff. So like I said, these are really played for laughs, these comics. And the whole time, the two other demons are just watching, floating in the sky. So it looks like Shaolin Cowboy keeps dropping this guy with either a shotgun, and he just keeps getting up. So now the fact that this goes on for page after page, you'd be like, oh, that sounds boring. It's like a bad Marvel comic from the 70s or something. But every like blow, every tactic that they use against each other is interesting. And because the fight choreography is real good. But it is very absurd how long this fight goes on for. You have the cover to issue 4 for some reason. We're going to get the covers later on at the end. Oh, he probably needed a page break for the double page spreads. And the whole time the mule is watching, but finally he jumps in to the fray. And he gives I'll just call it the headless zombie, he gives him a kick. A mule kick. Kind of shatters his body. The whole time these two demons aren't just watching, they're also I guess it's supposed to be funny dialogue. Some of it's annoying because one of them speaks like he's a rapper. So it's just like kind of like, it's not funny to me. But some of it's kind of clever, like they're kind of talking with puns and stuff. And some clever wordplay. But that wasn't my favorite part of this graphic novel, we'll say. So it looks like Shaolin Monk's got the upper hand. He kicks the head. The bird that was holding on to it flies away. And the body looks like it's pretty messed up. And all these flies are flying out of it. It's almost like filled with 1 million flies, this corpse. So Shaolin Cowboy grabs the head, the skull, but the body is still wanting to fight. And, basically the skull is telling him, he's like, no, a little to your left. He's right in front of you. Use that style. And Shaolin Monk keeps using the skull as almost like a shield. So every blow, he's blocking with the skull. And he keeps going, ow, God damn it. Great panel there. His face. I like how Geoff Darrow can just draw anything. Like, you could just tell him the most absurd thing, like draw a blender being carried by an ostrich, a flying ostrich, and he would just do it impeccably. I wonder if he doesn't even need research. That would be amazing if he's just like has this amazing visual memory. Because most of his comics will put in everything. He'll find a way to put in every critter on Earth, every animal species. You'll find them in his comics. Every type of car. So just this keeps going on. But I mean, it's really well choreographed, so it's fun as hell. It's almost like these are storyboards for a movie where making sure you know exactly where they are at all times. And of course, that's what Geoff Darrow does when he's not drawing comics. I also love the visual of constantly these flies swarming out of his shattered chest cavity. So it's once again very cartoon-like. The body's chasing after the head saying, no, I'm over here. And Shaolin Cowboy's chasing after them. He keeps shooting the skull out of reach. But finally the corpse, the body gets the skull. And then, I forgot to mention this. He's got a loincloth made of a dead lizard? Or maybe it's a living lizard. That's his loincloth. So Shaolin Cowboy shoots him right in the crotch. Right through the lizard, right through his pelvis. And he drops the skull. The mule picks up the skull. And they both run off. But the body has grabbed his tail. And it's hanging out for dear dead. And finally, his only solution is shake this, well, he can't, so I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. This just goes on for pages. All these hijinks. The donkey poops on him, hoping that'll make him drop his grip. While in mid-gallop, he just unloads on him. He's basically, it's like he's water skiing through the sand. And then finally, Shaolin Cowboy's solution, since nothing seems to be able to shake this guy, he chops off the tip of the mule's tail. And of course, he does not like that. He's like, you son of a bitch, why'd you do that? So he throws Shaolin Cowboy and basically is just like, fuck you, buddy. You're on your own. I can't believe you chopped off my tail. And so now the fight continues. It's insane. The whole time these demons are commenting. And, oh man, I just can't believe this is still going on. But his art is so good. He basically throws a swarm of flies at Shaolin Cowboy. But Shaolin Cowboy pierces the skull with his sword. And I guess that releases some kind of weird beam that deflects the flies. We see like a vortex, something coming out of his mouth, which is almost like a force beam. The whole time the mules are like, find my piece of my tail. Maybe we can go to a hospital and have it reattached. Oh, here we kind of see it in better form. So the skull actually kills his own body. And finally the body is kind of destroyed. All that's left are the 2 feet here, which run off. So this thing's really hard to kill. Now, even though the skull has a sword right through its eye, it's still alive. And then the 2 demons come down and enter into this, start talking to the Shaolin Cowboy. And apparently, it's a little confusing, but apparently they need this baby for its chi. It's got an amazing amount of chi, like life spirit. They are not allowed to touch it. That'll ruin it. Only humans can touch this, whatever, magic baby. If a demon does, all of its chi will dissipate, so it'll be useless to them. Kind of weirdly confusing, this part, but kind of interesting. Like, what are they talking about? So then all of a sudden the ground starts to shake. And it starts, it's like an earthquake. Look at just the crazy detail of this rock. And amazing. And this kind of almost looks like a giant hill grows up out of the ground. And Shaolin Cowboy uses his little like chain with a clip on it. He grabs onto the donkey's, the pack that it's carrying. And so he doesn't fall off. Now the donkey still just is pissed off at Shaolin Cowboy. He doesn't want to help him. But, you know, inadvertently he is, because he's holding up Shaolin Cowboy. But then the pack, all the stuff comes out. So he starts falling again. The container that his chain was attached to, that comes tumbling down, and a lot of other stuff comes tumbling down. And we see the Shaolin Cowboy falling. I love this. The suitcase opens up, from the pack. And this is what Geoff Darrow's kind of known for when he drew Hard Boiled with Frank Miller. It's just this insanity of drawing every little thing. There's a hammer in here. There's a wrench, a screwdriver, some toothpaste, a gun, lots of bullets, a fork. Just all this random detritus. He just really gets into it. That's where he really seems like he's maybe a little nuts. So the fall continues, the plummeting, and the mule grabs the baby, saves the baby. Oh, this is just amazing, like Buster Keaton, like fun, like slapstick. It's like he just falls. It's like he grabs a thing, then something hits him on the head. He continues his fall. The whole time is that skull with the sword is yelling shit. And then we realize that that giant hill he was on, it's really a giant, like, creature. And the mouth opens, and his tongue, its tongue grabs Shaolin Cowboy. Look at his gullet. That's amazing. And so it swallows Shaolin Cowboy and the skull, and they go tumbling down its throat into, I guess, kind of like its stomach. And it looks like it's the stomach acids, almost like a lake of it, but it doesn't seem to really be hurting Shaolin Cowboy, so I don't know. Look at this vista here. So within the belly of this creature is almost like this techno nightmare landscape. Like all these sewage pipes spewing shit into here, and all this like almost industrial age chimneys and stuff, smokestacks, and everywhere dead bodies floating in this filth. It's almost like a picture of hell, like Dante's Inferno or something. I haven't really even talked about the colors. The colors are so good in this. It's 3 different people. Mostly, though, it's Peter Doherty. But Laverne Kinzerski did a lot of pages, and Alex Wall did too. So now back outside the creature, the demons are talking to the donkey, and they're like basically saying, give us the baby. But the donkey, even though he's mad at Shaolin Cowboy, he's going to protect this baby. Look at this, how the scale of this thing, not only does it draw the surface of this creature like in amazing detail, he shows all the dust falling off of it. Just an amazing amount of extra, like, it's like more thinking goes on with the art with Geoff Darrow, where he's actually like, okay, this creature just came out of the sand. What else do I have to draw? Oh yeah, he'd have sand coming off of him. But look at the scale here. That's the demons. That's how tiny they are. And there's the mule. Look at this. So now the camera pulls back. And not only is this just an insane fucking creature, there's a giant city on its back. An amazingly detailed city on its back. Craziness. Still drawing all the dirt slowly falling off this creature. But it also has these, like, I don't know what they are. Like ropes. All these ropes with, like, for some reason, with religious iconography on them. There's a cross. You see a Star of David. I don't know why you would do that. Only Geoff Darrow knows. But I love it. Every page is such a surprise. Like, what am I looking at here? Why would you draw this? Oh, man, that's amazing. Okay, so now within the creature, Shaolin Cowboy is floating around on a dead cow, a carcass. He opens up his suitcase thing, has still been, fell into the mouth. And he opens it up once again. We get this amazing scene of him basically just throwing shit out so he can find stuff. Catcher's mitt, ketchup bottle, a VHS cassette, a softball, all these random toys and dolls. It's just insane. And so I guess he finds the fixins for this device. And it's these two giant poles which connect together. Each one has a chainsaw blade, a chainsaw on the other end. And so he's swimming through this hellish, gory landscape using the chainsaw things as oars. The whole time, the skull, the demon skull with the sword through it, is just like stuck into the cow's carcass. But it makes a break for it. Somehow he like uses his tongue to wiggle free and fall into the water. And there's all these sharks down there. So I didn't tell you this, but through his dialogue, we realized that that body that Shaolin Cowboy finally destroyed, that was he possessed it. So this skull goes around and possesses things. And so Shaolin Cowboy's getting ready for the attack. He realizes that the skull has escaped. And then in the shark's mouth, the skull, with the sword still coming out of his head, starts fighting Shaolin Cowboy, using the sword that's stuck out of his eye socket as a weapon. And so we get this, who would have even thought that, one day I will see a fight scene of a guy with two chainsaws fighting a shark being possessed by a demon skull. This is one of the craziest fight scenes ever in comics history. So Shaolin Cowboy takes care of the shark, basically guts it. And of course, in the water, we see every kind of plastic bottle, Coke can, beer bottle. So now he's waiting for another attack. Ah, this is so nasty. All these corpses, rats are floating on him. And this, like, sewage. And then we see another fin cleaving the water. So he's possessed another one. And once again, Shaolin Cowboy just basically guts it with his chainsaw. And I love this as the shark flies overhead, back into the water. We see everything that it's eaten stream out of its guts in a beautiful arc. We see, once again, toys. There's a toilet seat. There's a kitchen sink, which I think is an inside joke. He's just like, yep, even the kitchen sink. Oh, God. Of course, lots of human body parts that the shark has eaten. This is crazy. And yet somehow beautiful. We see more of that, this beautiful arc of garbage and detritus. So the skull is chastising the sharks for being so bad at fighting, because he still has to kind of lead them, guide them. And, sharks don't know about sword play. And then I guess we see all these shark fins surrounding Shaolin Cowboy, going in a circle. So he's possessed all these sharks now, the demon skull. And Shaolin Cowboy prepares, makes a little prayer, and the sharks all attack the cow he's floating on. It's so savage. I love this panel. Just the water churning. I mean, if you look at like just this, it looks like, it's like Jackson Pollock right there, right? It looks like one of his action paintings. And he leaps off the cow carcass, jumps onto, I think that's his suitcase still. Somehow this suitcase keeps bouncing around, ended up near him. And then he starts oaring frantically with the sharks chasing him. This is just amazing to me. I just read this last night and I'm just as thrilled reviewing it right now. I'm just like, holy shit. I can't believe I'm reading this. I can't believe this is happening. So he's oaring. We see the sharks getting closer and closer. Really exciting scene here. And one of the sharks still has the skull with the sword coming out. And so he finally makes it to this land. This samurai cowboy Sorry, Shaolin Cowboy, I meant to say. God, I probably said that 50 times during this video. I hope I haven't. Once again, all these lizards in bottles. He didn't have to draw, but he did. And then there's one shark, I guess, just leaped out of the water so much. It almost looks like he's flying. He's just diving over Shaolin Cowboy. Once again, Shaolin Cowboy completely eviscerates him from mouth to tail as it flies over him. God, that's a fun scene. And just like so cinematic, you know, just beat by beat. We see him running under the shark. Well, we don't see it because the shark's obscuring our view. And then he skids to a stop. There's the two halves of the shark. He makes his totally cool kung fu pose. And then after all of this, the suitcase that was attached to that chain falls right in his head and conks him out. And now he finally has split the skull in half. And we have this interesting thing of everything he says from now on is split. Ibuprofen, and the word balloon is split because it's coming from two different mouths about 10 feet apart. And then the camera pulls back. We realize we're in this underground, you know, the belly of this creature, this Leviathan. It's like this beautiful, like, almost like ancient architecture in there, but like thousands, millions of human bones. So the camera moves along. We see these stairs, more bones. And the zombie head, the demon head says, "Is that you, dearest?" It is kind of sad because the book spine, you can't even see Shaolin Cowboy. I'm opening up as much as I can. He's in the middle of the spine, so maybe one day I'll find these issues, and because that's with everything that Geoff Darrow draws, how much detail is putting in. I don't want to miss a millimeter of this art, you know. Look at this though, crazy, just the bones, the millions of bones. He draws everyone. So he continues to go on the zombie skull. He says, "Honey, you can't believe the kind of censure I've been having." And the camera keeps zooming out, and we see the zombie queen, the demon head's bride. I like how she has this little figure on her hat. Here's another cover for number 7. And God, that's impressive. We see that creature with the city on its back. And now we're back to the demons, still trying to get the baby from the mule. I looked at Wikipedia. He has some kooky, crazy long name, but I can't remember it. They never use it in this graphic novel. So they're on the back of this creature. And of course their dialogue, this is all just like almost vaudeville humor, some of it. It's just all for yucks. It's a weird looking demons. So finally the demons make their move and they swoop down and the mule makes a run for it. He wants to protect that baby. And the demons, remember, they can't touch the baby or it'll ruin everything for them. So they grab the little toys on the string that the baby was holding. They each grab one of them and they fly off with the baby in between. The mule's still chasing them. And then they start arguing about how they're going to divide the chi energy. And they're both greedy. And then I don't understand quite what happens here, but something about the chi energy just basically rips their arms off, freeing the baby. And they both fly away from the baby, just screaming in pain. They keep talking about the meridian. So it's something about this meridian that has something to do with this chi force. I don't know. I guess I wasn't paying that close attention, to be honest, because I really didn't care. I just care about these. This art is so amazing and thrilling that I was just like, yeah, maybe I'll find out in the next graphic novel. And so the mule is running, trying to intercept the fall of the baby. Because the baby, they were flying pretty high up in the sky there when they got their hands ripped off and freed the baby. They still have the hands, are still clutching. So even the donkey can't touch the baby, I think. I think that'll ruin the chi too, since he's not a human. But then the baby lands. He tries to bite its diaper, catch it by its diaper, but he fails. Crashes into the ground, and then this like blue energy arises from the ground. And the baby transforms into this monkey. And now he can finally like talk, say more than mine. He says mine at last. After the whole, half the comic of him just going, mine, mine. So then even though you think like, okay, this demon head is so defeated, his head is split in two, but no, it's trying to reincorporate itself. I guess it can totally do that. And the Shaolin monk has still got his chainsaw blade right in the middle of his forehead, which is keeping him from fully getting it together, if you will. So he keeps splitting the brain. And then the zombie queen, her huge tongue extends, and the zombie skulls does, and they intertwine. I guess they're going to do some sexual healing. Look at just how beat up Shaolin Cowboy is. Just, he's had a bad day. So it seems like no matter what he does, how many times he chops at the head with his chainsaw, it still fuses back together. The zombie queen sucks him in with her tongue, and they're reunited, these two lovers. And then after all that shit he went through, she just incorporates his body again, gives him a new body. Apparently, it's made up of Ted Bundy's femur, Ed Gein's clavicle, a dorsal from both Jeff Dahmer and John Wayne Gacy. So it's all the bones of these horrible, evil people. And I love this, how it's Rumsfeld's lumbar, Dick Cheney's sacrum. I like the idea of putting Dick Cheney in the same company as John Wayne Gacy. Because when you think about it, Dick Cheney killed way more people than John Wayne Gacy ever dreamed of. So now the two evil lovers are reunited, and we see all these zombies behind them. And then the camera pulls out, and coming down the stairs, we see all these zombies. Hundreds of them. It's beautiful architecture. These hieroglyphics. Still tons of bones. And it says, wait, it's not over yet. Or is it? It kind of is. Because the next few pages are going to be just like linking pages that were in the first 7 issues. I love the sickly colors here. Like, this comic can be so bright in primary colors. Use them. But then it's like, no, there's zombies in the middle of in the gut of a leviathan. They're just all sickly, brown and greens. Oh, guys, so I guess this is what the Wachowskis contributed. The Assalogs. And the standalone issues, the Wachowskis wrote introductions and one afterward to Geoff's ever more madcap art, ostensibly recapping readers on what came before. all from the point of view of the mule. Well, I guess he's an ass, technically. Okay. It's kind of cool. And so these are obviously just totally played for yucks. Oh, here's where we learn the ass's name. Lord Evelyn Dunkirk Winifred Esquire III. So these are just like these little pages that were kind of like fill the reader in, but for the most part, they're just funny. Some of them don't really even recap anything. They don't really tell you what happened. But just getting more beautiful Darrow art. This is the mule's place. I'm glad they reprinted these. Yeah, they're just very odd little, kind of a weird sense of humor the Wachowskis have. And then we have the covers, including all the alternate covers. Here's number 1, Geoff Darrow. Number 1 alternate by Geoff Darrow. I was surprised that on these covers he didn't go more full tilt boogie on the detail. These are kind of simple for him. Issue number 2, Geoff Darrow, and this is really nice. Issue number 2 alternate by Mike Mignola. That's really beautiful. I mean, almost everything Mike Mignola draws is pretty damn beautiful. Pretty sure this is Geoff Darrow, issue 3. Let me double check on this little contents page here. Yeah, I think it is. And then look at this. Issue 3 alternate by Mobius. Because, you know, Geoff Darrow was almost like an apprentice to Mobius. They're friends. Well, they were friends. But that is nice. I like the look on his face. Like, that's a really quite a feather in your cap to get Mobius to draw your character. This is a guy named Scott Gustafson. Not familiar with him. Kind of looks like an old Norman Rockwell type painting or something. It would be on the cover of a magazine. This is issue 4's alternate. Issue 5, I believe the alternate, I think by Geoff Darrow, with this interesting, as if it was a ripped cover from an old pulp. Oh, this is nice. This is Rick Delgado, the guy who does all those dinosaur comics for Dark Horse. And, yeah, he definitely got into the spirit of things, drawing every little scale on this dragon. Pretty fun looking. I like it. And I believe this is Geoff Darrow. This is issue number 6. Oh, and here's the alternate. Kevin Nolan. That's beautiful. And look at this. Issue number 7 alternate. John Severin. Now, this is 2007, so this could be one of the few, like, one of the last things John Severin ever drew. I actually can't remember when he died. I mean, he was drawing well into his 90s and was still great, as you can see. I mean, that must have just been so great to get John Severin to draw your cover. And there's Geoff Darrow again, I believe. I hope so. I think it is, just by the way he draws rocks. You can totally tell. I'm really glad they had all these covers in there. That's a very simple Geoff Darrow cover. And here's one that is not. God damn it. It's crazy. So this is kind of like, this is for the French edition. Le Shaolin Cowboy. Oh, this one is too. I didn't realize. That's Le Shaolin Cowboy as well. Oh, and this one was too. So these are the French covers. I forgot to mention that. And I guess that's it. They split it up into 3 issues, the French. Another nice little kind of end papers here. A little bit about Geoff Darrow and his bibliography. And that's it, guys. Geoff Darrow, Shaolin Cowboy. I think that's the actual title of the book. No, it's just called the Shaolin Cowboy, the Burly Man series. And Dark Horse has reprinted this. I think they use the title Start Trek. A little pun there. So if you're looking for this comic, this 7-issue series, Dark Horse has it as Shaolin Cowboy Start Trek. And I recommend you do, and you get all of the stuff. Because I know some of you are probably shaking your head being like, this is so dopey. This comic is just nothing really is going on. But just the art is just so amazing, and just the craziness of Geoff Darrow. To me, it's just like what comics are all about sometimes. I mean, believe me, I love Me, My Mouse by Spiegelman, serious adult literature comics. I like all kinds of comics, but also this stuff thrills me. This is just great. So hope you guys liked it as much as I did, and I hope to see you next time here at the Herculespetix Academy of Comic Book Studies.